got up and left.
Hello and welcome to the English Show. My name is Stephanie here at Beltran and Brito. I'm accompanied by my socios, Gil, the most tropical attorney. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Alexis, how are we doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
What's your tagline? The most Cuban attorney?
No, that's probably still good.
That might still be Gil. Welcome. This is episode 42 of the English Show. For those who may not know who we are, we answer immigration questions live. So all immigration questions we're answering live and for free. You can ask on Instagram, on YouTube, on StreamYard, on LinkedIn, whatever your preferred platform is. We're going to talk about a little bit of news before we go ahead and enter into the discussion of questions and answering your questions. Today, there was an announcement regarding the public charge rule, which we're all still expecting for September 18th or 15th?
18th.
September 18th. So September 18th, they're going to implement the new public charge rules with the new I-45. And that's what we'll go ahead and touch upon today. So guys, what is it that we saw today?
What'd you see, Alexis?
Oh, I saw a lot with these four eyes. Listen, the guidance is there. It's the same 99-page document reaffirming.
What happened to your voice? Are you going through puberty or something?
Yeah,
What's
what's
happening?
happening?
What's happening? Are you sick?
They said I'm a growing boy.
You're a growing boy? You are
Yeah.
a growing boy.
I'm still growing.
Está tan lindo, coño.
Bald is beautiful. That should be in the bottom.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's the tagline.
We digress. Go ahead.
So, listen, nothing's really changed just yet. They're informing us that everything's going through the process. Officially, it'll come into effect September 18th. We do hope for an updated policy manual. So that's going to be the detailed guidance USCIS will use coming September 18th. What's important? Listen, the memo today or the email notification correspondence kind of gives you a nice, beautiful chart. What qualifies under the public charge eval? What does not? For the most part, most humanitarian-based cases, think of anything like NACARA, Cuban Adjustment, VAWA, things along that line, T and U visas are not subject to that evaluation. All the other ones are. And like we spoke before, it's going to be more of a holistic approach. I think it's means-based, right? It's not so much did you receive a benefit, but rather have you qualified for a benefit that gives you some sort of economic, assistance.
And at no point is it saying to stop receiving that benefit.
Correct.
So this goes down to the crux
Good
of it.
point.
So we have a lot of people, for example, that are on Obamacare and receive that type of assistance. Obviously, we've always known monetary assistance. You should really stay away from that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Or paying for your dwelling where you live, et cetera, like that type of subsistence we need to avoid. But they don't expressly say like short-term Medicaid is bad. They don't expressly say. They say actually.
They also don't say ACA and Obamacare is bad.
And
it wasn't bad the first Trump.
And it wasn't. Yeah. So they're really not going. This is my interpretation of this. There's two issues. There's two main issues. Number one, obviously, if you are using these public benefits, what was the exact reason? It could be a factor that they're going to take into consideration for an adjustment of status. And we are assuming the Department of State, with all of its 75 country policies, will start addressing this as well. But number two, are you somebody that they believe can actually be self-sufficient in the future? Now, isn't that something? They have to. So this is the equivalent, I think, of saying, he looks like he may commit a crime.
It's exactly what it is.
So it's like he may commit a crime. We're not saying they will. We're saying they might commit a crime. So, Steph, what did they add there? What's the extra layer that they added that I think is a little bit of the scary part?
You mean the bond?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So essentially what they're indicating is that for individuals, exactly to Gil's point, where they think you may become a public charge based on certain elements such as family ties or past inclinations towards public benefits. If they think you might, then they might invite you to basically post a bond. And the bond amount is going to be determined by the officer. And whether or not you're invited to even post a bond is determined by the officer. It isn't clear when exactly they're going to go ahead and return the money. I would think it's likely when they become a U.S. citizen. Did they indicate that?
There's a process to the public charge.
I would
bond.
think it's after a certain amount of time and likely when you apply for U.S. citizenship. And basically, if it's anything like the
It's like
surety,
an I-864.
if it's anything
yeah.
like the bonds that
Yeah.
we've seen on, for instance, the B2 tourist visas or on the I-864, you may be required to go ahead and they won't return the money if you use a single public benefit.
I would say 10 years or citizenship, probably.
I've got to
Similar
imagine.
to the-
I didn't
the-
see anything specific on that
Yeah.
point, but I've got to imagine it's going to be U.S. citizenship will end it or potentially
How-
10 years or not. But obviously that information is not 100%.
Alexis, how
confirmed yet.
about cases that there's already an affidavit of support?
So that actually might help
Mhm.
because if you along the preview you come across as someone who may be inadmissible due to the public charge, this I-864 serves as a buffer.
It's the current bond.
It is.
It's the current surety that you're actually going to comply.
is.
But it's also kind of
Yeah.
like how suspicious, right? How suspicious that the officer has complete and utter regard to be able to say, you know what, this guy is going to be able to pay a public bond, so I'm going to go ahead and charge him a public bond.
But
No
it's
te
funny.
suena.
The I-864 is just
Yeah.
layer one for some people where the bond might be an added
By the way,
component.
the bond minimum will be $1,000.
Yes.
That'll be the bond minimum. But listen, I'm not sure what the maximum could be.
Mhm.
Wow. I
like-
mean, what are they doing for visas abroad? 100,000?
Well, H-1B,
Right.
but
Right.
that's
Well,
in
no,
the air.
like B2
But
tourist visa's
B2's 15K.
15K.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's basically
That's
what
like
it
a
could
number
be.
they like there.
It's a happy number.
That's
for
a
them.
problem, I think.
It's
is.
I think all of
so-
this is a problem.
It
right.
is.
It's just so arbitrary, in my opinion,
Yeah.
which, mind you, look at that as a good thing. Because what we've begun to see is that the courts are finally coming into play, right? So many of the actions that the Trump administration took last year, such as pausing several countries for adjudication of petitions, they're already finally beginning to make their way through the courts, and the courts are finding them unlawful.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is very willy-nilly, it's in the air and you don't really know specifics and what's the amount and who is it really attributed to and all these things, look at that as actually a good thing because I don't think it'll hold up in court.
I think there's so much discretion being given to the officers that's what makes this difficult to really understand. Will two people have a similar background
Yeah.
and one officer decide to issue a bond and the other one not?
So check it out.
Yeah.
I was right. 5 years, not 10.
I think it's
5
based
years?
on the
That's
tax
great.
credits, right?
Okay, so no, because tax credit,
It
if
says-
it's Social Security tax credit, it would have been
40.
It
it would
says
have been
5
40,
years.
which would have been 10 years.
Yeah, it says 5 years.
Remember, I-864 is 10, not 5.
I-864 is 10.
Well,
Yeah.
40
Yeah.
40
That's why I
credits
was thinking if
because
it
of
was
the
going to apply in
It's a great
I-864,
point.
it would be likely 10.
So they finally, earlier today, they hadn't updated the policy manual. I just went into the policy manual. They did finally update it. So they
5
gave
years.
the information for canceling it. So the weirder part is you have to actively request to cancel it. You have to file form I-356 in order to request
Jesus.
the cancellation of the bond. And the reason you can request cancellation of bond is either the alien died. So I don't know who's going to file that. The alien permanently departed the United States and gave up their green card. They naturalized, which is what we thought, or they reached their 5-year anniversary since admission or becoming an LPR.
This is a disaster.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, a lot of people might be interested because the bond could be set up by an individual or there's certain bond companies that can do it. And so,
You mean there's business here?
there's
There's business interest.
Yeah, you're going to have to be
No
forking over
way.
15K of your own money.
way.
there's a way, it's
And then
insurance
wait, this is
business.
actually really interesting. So I'm on the policy manual now, which again, they just updated. If you breach, right? So breach of bond, you get some sort of public cash assistance for income maintenance or long-term institutionalized at government expense. You would be subject to an investigation by USCIS. Who is starting that investigation? Let's ask ourselves that question, right? You see them at the bottom.
Mhm.
If the information, whatever, so the USCIS is going to have an office of the chief counsel and they're going to go ahead and do an adjudication. Who's going to start that? I have no idea. Then you have a response, then it's determined whether or not, and you could appeal. and they could collect either cash bonds or surety bonds.
And then you could have a substituting bond.
Substituting a bond. So you could substitute out, I imagine, like an I-864?
You could
Substitute out the
probably
person?
entity.
I don't know.
Yeah.
TBD.
USCIS ensures the following, maybe substitute. A substitute bond may either be substituted by the original obliger or a new obliger on behalf of the alien. So someone else can post the bond on your behalf, like
You
an
think
I-864?
obliger or obligor?
I don't know. Obligor? I don't know. I didn't want to try it on camera. if I was
Obligor?
honest.
Obligor? Obligor? Say that. Say that
Obligor?
10
Is that
times.
it? Is it
Obligor? Obligor? Obligor?
Okay,
Obligor?
are you telling me the truth or are you lying to me? Is it true?
No,
Oh, Lord. No,
I'm just
obligor.
saying. I like that word, obligor.
What did I say?
Obliger.
Obliger.
Damn.
What would you say in Latin?
So what we're saying is that someone else could post bond for you?
Yes.
That's what I'm. That's the
person
interpretation.
who does the I-864 could also, if you're required
Post
to do a
bond.
bond, put the money up for the bond.
I think more so it's just like, how are they going to determine who's going to pay this bond? It's just so out of left field in my humble opinion.
As we've said countless times, they're going to consider some negative things. Well, give them some positive things. Are you a member of the community? Do you donate your time?
Is being poor a negative thing?
I wouldn't say it's negative. I think it's just something
I
that
think
they're
it
going to
is.
consider.
I think it is for them.
They'll
I think that's why
consider.
they have this.
Well, that's
piece.
why they tell you
They don't want poor people.
that.
How are you going to say it?
That's what
No,
they're
but
How are you going to
They're-
phrase it
they,
in this
they
way?
don't. They don't.
We're
they don't-
live on YouTube and
they're-
you're going
they're-
to phrase
they're-
it this way.
They don't want poor people
it's
that become a public
means-
charge.
It's a means-based test.
Like that's what they're saying. I know they can't
not
say
very
that.
nice way.
That's
of
not
saying
the. That's that. Hello. This is what they're saying. I think if you're going in
Nice.
and you have an EB2 and IW, and you're a professional, and you have $100,000 in the bank, and you show a bank statement of this amount, is
You
it more
look great.
likely for them to for that person to require a bond or no? Probably not. Even
Yeah.
I would imagine the entire analysis on. Sorry, I'm getting fired up now.
No, but it's
Now
true.
the entire analysis goes out the window if I show a bank statement, okay, with a ton of money in there and forget the analysis. Even the potential to become a public charge is out the freaking window if you have money.
Hey, if we want to go down like the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories, well, it's not even conspiracy theory of what we actually think of what their true, intention is. This is a way to limit family-based immigration for poor countries.
Yes.
This is exactly what this is.
Yes.
They couldn't change up the INA. They couldn't change up this Congress, which said that, 140,000 or whatever, 280,000 are family-based, are given 7% per country. They couldn't change that. So this is the way we're going to change it. We're going to make it so that individuals from poor countries, particularly family-based cases, are going to have a much harder time.
I used to not think that way. And I know you've always thought that this is the thing that they're going about. This is, they have a bigger agenda and they're
Right.
using all these different angles at it. And I do believe now, Stephanie, that you're 100% correct. And that is a real thing. And we're seeing it every single day, Alexis, again and again and again. It gets to the point that it just becomes so blatantly obvious to us that we're just like, okay, what's really going on here? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, when you read the 99-page guidance full of Q&A, they're like, well, this is something to consider.
Can I stop you right there? 99-page guidance, but public charge isn't one.
It is
But
the one.
When you read it, it's just so frustrating because it's like, they suggested that this might be a problem. We don't think it will be.
We'll
And then-
consider it, but it's
like
not
they don't
the only
say
consideration.
anything.
Yeah, it's
They
very,
literally don't say anything.
And for clarity, this is going to be for consular cases, for adjustment of status, for immigrant visas.
So
and
let's talk
non-immigrant
about that
visas.
because I'm sure people are going to want to know about that, which is, okay, is it going to be applied at the, it's USCIS,
everywhere. Well, but also at the consulate.
but it's USCIS and the Department of State. How are they going to apply this? How are they making this determination?
TBD. TBD.
You know what's interesting? I'm looking at this I just thought of this in the policy manual, but is this coming out in the FAM? As in, are they going to apply the exact same thing at Department of State?
That's what I'm saying.
I
No, because
think
the
they're
FAM
gonna
doesn't
have-
have to.
They're going to have their own
What
rules.
obligations excuse
what I'm
me,
saying.
what
Do you
is
think they're gonna
obligation of the
implement
Department of
their
State to implement this?
Do you think they're going to implement their own?
Yes,
They are, yeah. The
More
bond.
severe or less severe?
more. Because it's outside and they can.
I mean, they're already doing it for the tourist visas and everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So we have to expect that a change in the FAM, which is the Department of State, which is affecting consular processing, is going to come.
Wow,
soon.
it's so negative today.
Meow.
no.
I mean, you know what? Okay, here's also a
I
small
think it's
plus.
getting people prepared.
A small
It
plus
could be overcome.
is that if they are starting the public charge stuff, that means they're probably going to take away the 75 country ban.
I would hope.
I would really hope so.
So a small plus on the horizon. If they're
Yeah.
instituting this, that means they have to take it away, right?
I don't want to say they have to, but
It's so funny because
I hope they
I
would.
used to practice law with so much more certainty than I do right now.
Oh my god.
And I would basically know that things were like a little bit, there's always a gray area, but it's pretty much if you stick to this, you get this. Right now, I'm kind of like, okay, so what's going to happen? Like, everybody asks us constantly, Gil, what do you think is going to happen? Alexis, what's going to happen? Stephanie, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey,
I do not know.
I could guess and say this makes sense that of course it makes sense that the 75 country pause is now going to be lifted after they have guidance.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, how are they utilizing this guidance and how are they going to integrate it into the FAM and how are they going to apply it?
Right.
I still think we're 3 to 4 months away from knowing anything about the Department of State public charge.
Absolutely.
I can see that.
Because USCIS announced all this 60 days ago.
Right.
Okay. So and the implementation still not going to be until September.
Right.
So I could easily see that January 1st becomes an important date potentially where they're like, okay, starting all, and then who does it apply to? I-140s or I-130s filed prior to September 18th, 2026, or does it apply per
As of that date.
immigrant visa interview date?
I'm going to go with immigrant visa interview date.
I would think
And
so too.
more importantly, if the benefits are prior to September 18th, they should not really be considered, which is the big thing.
This is interesting. So you're telling me, this is your interpretation, that if I received, give you an example, Medicaid, temporary Medicaid, for 6 months because I needed it, and I went ahead and filed, or I had that interview. Now they're not going to consider after September 18th my Medicaid.
If you're off of it by September 18th,
I'm off of it, but I had it in the past.
right.
I
Shouldn't
think
that?
it could be a factor.
I think it has to be a factor.
The way that it's phrased somewhere within the guidance
Yeah.
is sure it could be a factor for the future, right? But they're not going to give it as much weight
Really? That makes zero sense to me.
because
They said,
because
look-
you were living your life based on the previous guidance.
I mean, okay, that makes sense and it's
It's
respectful.
almost like a grandfather.
But okay, great.
Situation.
But does that mean, how does that change the analysis on whether or not
for the
I'm
future.
going to do it in the future?
like it just would make sense to me that if you've done it in the past, this
What-
is this is
yeah.
a factor I could consider that
What's
you might do it in
what's
the
the
future.
top indicator that you're going to have behavior in the future that you've done it in the past?
What's going to
Like,
stop an officer from looking at it the way the
Exactly.
policies?
I don't know. Sorry. All right. I know we've digressed a little bit, but
Mind you, just to point out, okay, so maybe this goes to what you guys are saying. So they're explicitly saying that they're going to use 5 factors, right, in reviewing public charge: aliens' age, health, family status, assets, resources, financial status, and education and skills. So previous usage does not fall into those 5. However, after that, they're going to consider the 5 factors and any other factors, including the alien's receipt of means-tested benefits, which is what we discussed. But the question is, they're saying explicitly, USCIS will consider the alien's receipt of public cash assistance at the government's expense, received on or after September 18th.
that's great. So it cannot
Which
be a
is so
factor.
silly, right? Because if you really think about it, the Department of State, when they're issuing a tourist visa,
Mhm.
what are they looking at? Your past history of usage of your tourist visa.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So it's just so silly, but they're saying explicitly for means tested public benefits
But then
received on
let
or
me just
after.
tell you, then all of this is meaningless.
Right.
For me.
Right.
Because if it's just another factor of wealth, education, age, and health,
Right.
if it's just another, and those factors, okay, are those items really precluding people from adjusting their status?
No.
Like, honestly? Okay. Like the majority of people.
I think you just got to focus on the positive factors to overcome any small negative factors.
Yeah, that's what we do. We're
Half-
lawyers, so we
half-
only
half cup
we only
empty
focus
or
on the
full.
positive. Okay. Anyways, hey,
Yeah.
it's interesting. Good information. It's going to play out more. More information's coming out, guys. Sorry, we'll move on and we'll jump into questions. But that is the big news. Okay, let me jump over here. Sorry. Moises, how are you, Moises? Dear friends, 2 questions. Does USCIS new AOS public, Moises is on the know. AOS public charge guidance published today apply to I-140s approve before 9/18. Alexis says yes if the interview is after 9/18. Will DOS use the same guidance for consular process? I'm not convinced, Moises. I'm not convinced that they will. I think that they could use this as a basis. I don't think it's going to be very different, but I believe, this is what I believe, okay, that they will take it into consideration, anything that you've done in the past. Even if that, I do believe, because this is the Department of State. And the Department of State is basically looking, as you indicated, Stephanie, completely to your past. Right. It's really, yes, it's concerned about the future a little bit, but it's primarily concerned with your activities and the things you've done in the past to prove inadmissibility. Again, I'm not sure how they're going to do it, Moises, but I would imagine that it could be a little. So I think it'll be very similar, but potentially they're going to give themselves a little bit more discretion to make potentially negative determinations. Okay, because I don't think the discretions are falling in the favorable side, guys. Like I'm not sure they're using favorable discretion. I think they're using negative discretion.
Right.
You know.
Lita Duran. Trump announced he will block all types of work visas. Is there anything that can still be done with the EB-2? So I think, Lita, I had to look it up because I didn't know what you were referring to. I think it's a bit of a sensationalist news article. So basically, I think you're referring to the Forbes article, which basically says Trump officials are now restricting all legal immigration categories. It's because of all this public charge stuff, right? So it's not that he said he's going to block all types of work visas. He's basically just going to make it more difficult by evaluating things like public charge. And that also goes to some of the pauses that he's had. But there's no block of work visas. In fact, I think directly the opposite. I think, so for instance, immigration and Trump paused the adjudication of many cases for individuals from 39 countries, okay? The courts, or the lawsuits in the courts, were basically, hey, how can you accept someone's money for their work visa and not work on their case? And the court said what the pause was unlawful. So what that leads me to believe, USCIS, despite the fact that they're appealing, they were like, okay, we'll start working on the cases. What leads me to believe is they're not willing to restrict their incoming money. So I don't think they're ever going to restrict and block all types of work visas. I just think that's unrealistic because then the funds dry up. Remember, USCIS is funded by fees. If you stop accepting the petitions, then you no longer have the fees, right? So I highly doubt that's going to happen. I think it was just a sensationalist media, which is the block is that he's making it more difficult with things like public charge.
Public charge.
Oh, sorry. Let me get this one really quick.
Yeah.
Jonathan, I already got a case for 01 going with Stephanie. Really hope we can get this done. We absolutely will. Guys, he is a photographer of bodybuilders at bodybuilding competitions. Isn't that fun?
So is Alexis, but he does it recreationally. This gentleman, Jonathan, does it professionally.
I'm going to say I've had fun with Jonathan's case and looking at his photographs.
I imagine.
Go ahead.
I'm glad you're happy. That's a good one. Let's go with Maria. I mean, of course, these are the kinds of questions and evaluations that people want to hear because 2013, my U.S.-born daughter's delivery was covered by Medicaid. My tourist visa was canceled and flagged for public charge, of course, and denied again 3 times this year. I want to apply for an EB-2. What should I do? First and foremost, can you apply for an EB-2? Sure, you can consider it, but what's the issue there with Medicaid? Did you pay that back? Do you still owe that? You were never even, well, I guess it was in name of probably the child, right? So that's a benefit. You're the United States citizen, right? Your U.S.-born daughter. But did you pay it back? Are you still in some sort of payment plan? Those are the types of things they're going to consider.
I'm going to say he didn't pay it back.
Hey, now's your chance to get it.
You think so? You think that ameliorates the situation? I don't think
it helps.
I think it helps,
on
but
top of it,
how
though,
could he even do it 13 years later?
Sure, but on top of it, according to the policy, they're not going to really consider things like that were from August.
Dude, but I still think
who received the benefit?
I'm of the opinion that it's the USC always. But she might have had, and mothers were able to eligible to receive previously up to 60 days postpartum.
Exactly.
But I still think he has a problem.
Possibly. You won't know till we actually get a couple cases in.
It's true.
We won't know till you actually get a couple cases in. But good luck, Maria. I think it's worth a shot. Honestly. I think it's worth a shot.
I don't even know. Okay. No, I think that's a tough one. I don't want you to waste your money, Maria. You might want to have a consultation. We need to see documentation, the denials. We need to see all this information. With that, we could kind of just have a more realistic strategy for you. Yeah. Definitely between a non-immigrant visa and an immigrant visa, we will have better chance with an immigrant visa.
I agree. 100%.
Definitely. I agree with that. I would probably not sell you on getting an H-1B even or anything like that. I'd probably be more of a proponent. I feel any work visa that's approved by USCIS will likely continue to be denied at the consulate because of the same issue. They see you as a public charge. A green card application for a professional or a company sponsoring you, like a labor certification, perm, I think you're going to be in a better position. I think people with job offers is technically the equivalency of having money in the bank because you have future money in the bank. So if they want to look at the future, they should look at this little piece of paper I have here. This is my job offer. This is my labor certification that was approved, or this is my business that I'm opening based on an EB2 NIW, and this is my, whatever. Okay. So I think that those are good factors to assist you with an immigrant visa. Alexis is 100% correct when he says the only way to know is doing it. So if you don't do it, there's really no way. But I think at a minimum, you really should have at least a consultation, I would say.
Yeah, definitely have the consultation. But I'm going to go out there and say if you're going for immigrant visa, there's a high likelihood that it'll be okay.
Just a quick pause, guys, that I think it was worth mentioning in the news part. September 15th, new versions of I-539 and I-765 because of the changes with the F1.
And it's going to be a hard one,
that's important to mention.
And there's no grace period for that
which
form.
is the craziest part.
There's no grace period.
They're not going to drop the form early. They dropped an example, but not drop the form early. And if it lands on September 15th, it has to be the new version. If it lands on September 14th, it must be the old version.
The day that it's received by USCIS.
So imagine that you're FedExing the case and FedEx has a 1-day delay.
Good luck.
Vaya con Dios.
Yeah. Well, then I would just advise clients to wait.
Postmark.
Let's wait if we can to go ahead and file.
Right.
Yeah, wait. Okay, Albertico Duran, Colombian, Venezuelan. Can I apply via consulate for O1 visa? Yes, you can. As a Venezuelan, unfortunately, right now they're giving you 3 months and usually single entry on a visa. As a Colombian national, you could obtain up to 3 years on an O1. Really important, Albertico, to know what your previous history was. Okay, I mean, are you in the U.S. for 10 years on an asylum? My advice might be different. Okay, so depending on that, if you're just somebody that lives outside the U.S. and is eligible for an O1 and wants to do it through the consulate, absolutely. We have clients on a very, very regular basis. Venezuelans getting visas issued. Also, they're just getting it for shorter period of time. Not great. But as a Colombian national, you could obtain up to 3 years.
I'm from India, Diego. I'm from India. I did O1A with premium. More than a month has already passed and I have not received a response. Is India on some kind of list? So India is not on any of the lists. It's not on the non-immigrant pause. It's not on the 39 countries. It's not on the immigrant visa pause of the 75 countries. However, I can speak to just our experience within the firm. I believe we currently have 4 to 5 cases that paid premium processing that they have not honored premium processing, and the cases are taking longer than that.
Stephanie.
What?
No.
How much? How many?
Me? 50?
No.
50 cases?
There's no way.
They're returning.
Hold on. Not subject to pauses.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Countries that were not subject to pauses.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But of the countries that were not
subject to pauses, minimum 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was thinking 4 to 5. So
Yeah.
let's say 10, right? So it isn't very much for the countries that are not subject to pause, let's say. But I guess the small good news is they are refunding the premium processing. So at the end of the day, once you see that your response took more than 15 business days, you will get that refund back. But it is very frustrating, and we are seeing it a little bit more. I think this has to do with the fact that they started adjudicating all the cases again for the countries that were paused, and they just the caseloads just
100% and not having the labor force.
Correct.
And not having the labor force. I think that's a big deal. Guys, EB1, 30 months.
It's incredible.
Who were the I-140 officers?
Crazy.
I-140 officers were seasoned.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
They're seasoned officers.
They
They're
were.
people with experience. And I believe, as we've discussed here previously, that they did, we don't know the exact number, but that a lot of people were laid off,
Were laid off.
unfortunately,
It was
or
a
that were
turnover.
early retired, et cetera. So,
Yeah.
and then we also have a new group of people that maybe are not properly trained in the ways of adjudicating these cases. So we're seeing delays like crazy.
And it's also so
Um,
sad because the ones who were laid off were like, they were not swayed by political party.
No, they were consistently the same.
Because they were
Yeah.
there for 20, 30
Yeah,
years.
yeah,
So
it
they
didn't
weren't
matter.
swayed by like,
Yes.
okay, now it's this way, now it's this way. They weren't. They really were following the law. And I feel like that may not be the case right now because they don't have the experience that those guys had.
I do agree.
They just don't have it.
Yeah. There's something else that was noteworthy. I'm sorry. What were we talking right before that?
O1A India premium refund.
Okay, so this is the issue. Is your case at the Vermont Service Center? Okay, so if your case is
Have you seen that
specifically,
trend?
so if your case is at the Vermont Service Center,
Mm.
Vermont Service Center and me are buddies. And since we're buddies, I like to contact my buddy many times a day.
No,
So
yeah.
I contact my buddy many times a day, Vermont premium processing email. Here we go. I'm waiting for this decision on this case for 45 days now.
Mhm.
And it's premium, you know, like a normal email back and forth. We have ticklers on it, you know, on my calendar, every certain amount of days, I'm following up again and again and again. The majority is in Vermont. I think that's probably the service center that has, I would say California is pretty much okay. Couple delays here or there, but nothing out of the ordinary. Even if you
Vermont,
look at the
yeah.
cases that they're returning the premium processing fees for, probably the majority of those case numbers are going to be Vermont.
That's so great. I
I-
haven't even noticed that
I
trend.
imagine probably the most of it. And the only reason I say this, because I do contact California Service Center and they'll respond very quickly and they're actually great about it.
So accurate.
In a short amount of time. And then Vermont is the one that I constantly see that I'm emailing. I'm always like, oh, look, there's a Vermont email. Here's a Vermont email. Here's a Vermont, me emailing them.
Waiting for the previous response.
And they
already
also don't
following up.
respond.
Or they do.
Or they respond
do.
4 or 5, 6 days later.
Takes some time, yeah.
They respond a few days later, probably like you said, a week later, and what they're doing is kind of more of a generic copy paste response.
Right.
That said, hey, we understand that this was already lifted and cases are taking a long time and this and that, but there's just to this gentleman's, you know, to Diego's case, the reality is it has nothing to do with your nationality. It does not matter anymore what country you're from for the adjudication of this case. Well, supposedly. Okay, supposedly. So let's assume that's true. It happens to be just systemically, internally, they have a great amount of delays for premium processing. And then at the end of the day, and this is our big question, they're refunding premium processing.
Mhm.
Is that case now regular track?
I'd say so.
I think it is.
That's it.
Yeah.
Their obligation for premium's
yeah,
done.
it's done. So
Yeah, it
then
ends.
what's up with your case that we're like refiling?
Nothing yet. I mean, I already did.
Yeah. Okay.
Not refiling. It's we got the premium refund, or we got notified that
Refiling
we
the
got
premium fee.
refund, and we sent a new premium.
To see what happens.
Let's
I got like
see.
2 or 3 people waiting to know about that for us to do.
I sent it last week.
Oh, one.
Oh, one.
All right.
All right.
Let you know in 2 weeks.
No, EB1.
EB1.
Mhm.
TBD. All right, here we go. We got Shresh Dakota. H-1B laid off April 3rd. Timely filed an H-1B. Change of status to F1. Received an R fee and annoyed. Petty larceny. And,
Petite larceny. It's a small little larceny.
Just a
It's
wee bit.
petite.
I love it.
It's a petite.
The oldie.
I think
English.
petty theft, dude.
Petty theft. Yeah, I know.
I mean, she wrote Petit Larceny,
Yeah,
to be fair.
No, but petty. And was denied 817. Notice not received yet. In the U.S., when must I leave? ASAP.
Well, I would wait for the notice.
Absolutely, but be prepared to leave. Just no more than 30 days.
I mean, it could be a situation where she has the opportunity to file a motion to reopen.
That's right.
So maybe we got to, don't jump the gun and but you
Without reviewing.
Yeah,
for
without
notice.
reviewing. But Alexis, that form doesn't say ever a date. You need to leave by this date.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just highly recommended 30 days. Just thinking of NTAs that are going out as of late. Now, what do you have to worry yourself with? 3 and 10-year bar. Anything over 180 days, but less than 1 year, If you depart the country, you're subject to a 3-year bar, meaning you can't return for 3 years. There's a waiver process, maybe depending on the petition. If it's more than 1 year and then you depart, you can't return for 10 years. So that's why it's suggested to consider your options as soon as you receive that decision and then go from there.
I'm going to say that case will likely get an NTA regardless of
It's happening.
I could tell you, I'll just tell you right now. I had a gentleman that had been arrested for DUI back in 2020 or 21.
Wow.
We filed his O1 change of status from student visa. Eventually, my case was approved. And they approved it after they sent him to do biometrics, after we had a monster RFE to respond to, because then they like really, and we won the case.
Really?
Change of status approved. Probably a month before that change of status was approved, an NTA was issued for him.
No.
Yeah. So he's in court now.
Yeah.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
So what I'm going to say, anything that is a previous arrest, this group of individuals need to be very careful with the
Very
NTAs,
vigilant.
because regardless of the fact that you have a determination or an adjudication on your case. So this is, you know what happened to him? I don't even know how we found it out, but it was like an address issue. There's an address piece. He had moved and not like, it was like, I don't even know how we got, I think they ended up sending it to us, even though we had nothing, like it was, oh no, the school received the NTA.
Oh, that's crazy.
The school received the NTA and then they got it to him. Okay. The school received the NTA. Just imagine that's how he found out, because the school sent it to him.
The school.
So, look, I would just,
They're sending the NTA to the school?
they sent it to the school. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like someone like this, the petty larceny probably took place after the H-1B. They're already here. So, you know, having the details of that will determine in the future, apply for an H-1B or an F-1. F-1, I don't think it's a good choice, honestly. And
I don't think they'll give it to you.
and by the way, if you already have a bachelor's, which I would assume you do with an H-1B, you need to come back for a master's. And if you already have a master's, you got to go up and get the PhD. So consider that. I'd say there's a chance for the H-1B, but we got to figure out what's the issue with the crime that you previously committed, and you know what's the outcome. Maybe you have to get that reopened and have a new determination, and you got to work with the criminal attorney. About that.
Look, I got to tell you that even expunged,
Sure, not
is
expunging, but
a
maybe
problem right now.
getting a lesser
Like,
crime. Or
I
a
understand
different
reopening,
conviction.
but what's lesser than petty larceny?
I don't know. Just
Not
petty.
just, I don't know. Like like that's the least.
Yeah.
I guess
I think
like
it would have to be-
trespassing or something, like a
Maybe they
misdemeanor.
pled guilty and then putting a new adjudication.
But this is the
Yeah.
issue. Even if they were found innocent and the
Sure.
case is dismissed, they're
Sure.
still doing it.
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
my problem.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Usually lower, commonly ranging from $500 to $1,000.
Sure. I mean, it's just the.
Oh my
the final
gosh.
court
I'm going to give you guys a warning. I used to know a guy
Ah.
whose H-1B was denied
Uh-huh.
because he was so annoyed with the self-checkout at Duane Reade's in New York that he would just leave with his like Gatorade when like there was no attendant. And because of that, I think it racked up like Duane Reade watched him for like
I mean,
2
I'm sorry.
years.
What's he doing? Stealing Gatorade?
He was basically like stealing the Gatorade or stealing the Celsius.
Also, it wasn't petty larceny at that
They
point.
that's pretty-
monitored him for like 2 years.
How many Gatorades is that?
Swear to God. And they never approved the H-1B. They denied his H-1B extension.
I mean, was he arrested?
Yeah. So a whole bit.
That's an addiction.
I was very like, but
Thrill seeker.
he was like annoyed because there was no one at the cashier and the self-checkout wasn't working. So he had no patience. So he would just walk out. And obviously it's going to catch up to you. He was kind of like, oh, this will never catch up to me. God,
Stephanie only knows about stealing hearts.
I haven't stolen one yet.
You sure broke many. Sure broke many.
I'm sorry. Is it my turn?
Yes.
Dan, asylum, EB2 and IW, I-140 approved. Excellent. From Colombia, NTA. Oh, sorry, Dan. December 28, 2026. Can I go to Bogota for consular processing, or is there a rule blocking it? There's no rule you blocking it, but I'm going to tell you, this is a perfect situation where we really can't give advice in a 2-second, encounter. Like, you really need to explain everything to us in detail. What's your legal status? How long were you here? When did you enter? What's the asylum situation? You have an NTA. You already have a court attorney. This is my issue. I'm giving this consultation a few times a day. People that have asylums pending and they want to do I-140s. If you're in court, what they're advising is to take voluntary departure.
Mhm.
Okay. My fear is the interpretation of that voluntary departure claim order at the interview. That's my fear. So my fear is that they might treat it like an order of removal. There's no way to do it other than finding out. That's absolutely the truth, Dan. Like, it's like there's only one way to do it. You haven't approved I-140. You cannot adjust your status in the U.S. We know that. You could consular process it. Is it a slam dunk at the consulate? It's never been, especially coming from an asylum. Okay, so I would be cautious. I'm not saying not to do it. I think maybe that's your only, your only way to come back to the U.S. And I do like the idea of fighting out immigrant visas at the consulate as a strategy versus what? Staying in the U.S. illegally?
Mhm.
Like, that's not an option.
I mean, talk to the immigration and
Court attorney.
asylum attorney.
Talk to your court
Yeah.
attorney and come up with a plan there
Mhm.
to do that. I would just tell you, get going on the NVC process, get everything wrapped up with NVC. As you're aware, Colombia is still subject to a pause. Even if you would get everything going on the NVC today, you're probably not going to be scheduled for an interview past June, August of 2027. I would be hesitant to take the voluntary departure immediately without at least having that interview a little bit closer scheduled
agree.
abroad. I don't know.
At this point, might as well.
These questions are tough.
Is it me?
You got Salvatore next, Steph.
I have.
The
Oh,
one and only.
I was gonna jump to someone
Sorry.
from Instagram. You really must be.
No,
up
there's
there.
one
Okay.
ahead of him, actually. Yeah, you're right.
Let me see.
Look at this guy. This guy's looking forward. He's looking forward. He's waiting
Hi,
for me.
immigration. Thanks, Alexis. Hi, Immigration Ninjas team. A lot of professionals use the student visa as a way to reset their careers in the United States. From your experience over the years, is this still a smart move or a risky one? So it's always been our experience that particularly if you are past what is typical for university age, so let's say you're past 25, 30 years old, we've always seen that there is a difficulty in obtaining the F1 visa abroad. Why? Because many of the, let's say, consular officers are familiar with the fact that you're likely using this as a springboard in order to eventually get a work visa or permanent residency, right? So obviously the most dangerous F1 to apply for was usually the English, applying for English school, particularly if you're over the age of 30. For me, it's a guaranteed denial because they essentially know that what your target is ultimately permanent residency. You just want a way to be already present in the United States, right? Now, if you are going for furthering your career, as in like you already have a bachelor's degree and you want to go for a master's degree, you want to go for a law degree, a PhD degree, that one I feel is more realistic for an consular officer to actually be able to approve. I do think it is still a good springboard in order to be able to eventually do a permanent residency application or an H-1B. Remember that F1 student visas, if you're studying a career, you're going to get OPT. And OPT typically, right? OPT gives you work authorization in the United States. And then you could go ahead and work, make those connections in the workplace, that networking. You start working and that becomes your petitioner for an O1, for an H-1B, for a perm, for a range of petitions, right? So it is still a way to do it. And I definitely don't knock it. I think we just have to think twice, and this has always been the case, by the way, on what exactly you're studying. Because if you're over a certain age and coming to study English, it's going to be, especially now in today's age, much more difficult. But if you're coming to further your career with a further degree and eventually OPT and do that route, still think that's a very strong route.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, Alexis.
Do you mind clicking the other one just because the screen?
After all he said.
Here, I got you. Hold up. Don't do anything. Hold up. I got you.
Don't go crazy.
Here we go. Go ahead.
Wait, that one's mine. That's why.
Oh,
I have to hit
man.
it. Sorry.
I want Matter
these
to the
men on the
car,
screen.
I want Alexis to do Matter. Hey,
But I know Erica.
hey, Fabio. How are you? Don't worry. I'm Fabio, waiting for an email from Dr. Gill to confirm the date for my O1 with you. I'm looking forward to it, my friend. Not more than me. I'm actually really excited for your case. That's going to be a fun case. Let's pull one up here. AB, hello.
That's fine. Hello, Rosary. Hello, we're permanent residents, almost 5 years. What do we need to submit for citizenship? Thanks. So once you hit that 90-day window before the 5 years, we can file. What are a few things that you got to consider at this point? Now, I'm kidding. So, continuous residence. Have you been residing in the United States? That's easy, right? You filed your income tax returns. You have proof of residency regarding housing contracts. If you have a mortgage, things like that, bank account. Big one, physical presence. We get this all the time. There's some people that travel a lot or they work abroad. Out of the 5-year window, at least half have to be in the United States physically. So 5 years, 60 months. Out of those 60 months, 30 months.
Is it half or is it half in one day?
At least half.
It is. The law says 50, or is
30
it
months.
or supposed to be more than 30 months?
I think it's 30 months.
Is it? No, I've always said
What, continuous presence?
I've always said 914 days, but
913 days.
right. So, but when I file cases, I say 914 days
To get
because
that
you want to be
full day.
one day over.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Is that what's a day between friends?
Yeah. One more day.
I mean,
on
does
this
really
earth.
one day make that big a difference?
I don't think.
On Visa Bulletin it does?
I
It
have.
would. It would.
I've had it that we
Yeah.
had to count the days, and it was not like 914 days, and that's why we won the case.
And-
So that's
And
why.
guess what? You're
yeah.
filing
Wow.
90 days within that 90-day window. And if you still haven't made it within that day 90, you don't go by year 5. I'm going to make it. You got to then sit and wait. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. That one
Yeah.
day matters. Other things to consider. This is a big one that a lot of people don't realize. You have to have residency in the state that you live in for
So-
at least 3 months.
So talk about that residency, not
I
lawful
always
permanent
forget
resident, but
that.
as a domicile.
as a domicile.
Always forget
exactly. So
that.
when we're using residency in the state of in the sense of a state, it's domicile. So I've lived in Florida the last 4.5 years and just moved to New York. Guess what happens? I gotta wait till I'm 90 days there and meet all the other requirements. So that's a big one. Good moral character, English, unless you're one of the few exceptions, but just 5 years. So English is a must. Study for the civics test and be willing to take the oath of allegiance. Rosary, we can help you out with that. So contact us.
I'm going to drop one really quick because it's a follow-up. Alexis, go ahead.
Monique, adding to my question above, I have a petty theft adjudication withheld back in 2015. Could that be grounds for prolonged response or even denial? I mean, it could, but I mean, adjudication withheld, it's not a plea of guilt. So
Depends the type of case. Is it a work visa or if it's a green card? If it's a green
Right.
card, there's a petty theft exemption.
Exactly.
Okay, there, for a green card. So we have a petty theft. I've had, gosh,
No,
Alexis, we've had the grandma that had petty theft.
Yeah. That was the shocker.
I've had the
50
Oh my God,
years
I
ago.
remember.
I
that
had like
one.
the 80-year-old grandma that had petty
I
theft.
remember
Told me a
when you
week
guys talked
before.
She
about
wanted
it.
to
The
die.
interview.
She wanted to die telling us.
I know.
Yeah.
Like she was so embarrassed with herself.
Hey, man, people make
Anyways,
mistakes.
like if it's a green card, I'm less concerned. If
It's
it's a,
H1B.
I'm sorry, what
This was the one that was H1B.
H1B
Oh, I'm
changes
sorry,
status
I'm
to
sorry.
the F1.
is there?
H1B changes status to the F1.
That's the two different people.
Yeah, but she's like adding to this question above.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, okay.
Let's just assume
work
non-immigrant.
visa.
Yeah.
It's more precarious. Green
I
card.
know. I'm sorry. Monique is someone different. 2 petty thefts in one day? Sorry, Gil. Okay, Alexis. Sorry, this is
Right.
for Gil. Let me throw it at Gil. Hold on. There.
Hi, all. I have a perm. Oh, there we go.
I
was like,
I didn't
that's
think
very
I
relevant.
didn't think it would be 2 petite larcenies.
Monique, I didn't want to say anything, but then I saw your name and I was like, I thought I knew the case, but I was like, okay, I was pretty sure it was a green card. AOS filed in March. My husband's work permit was approved, got it, but mine is still pending. Happens all the time. A lot of times the main applicant for some reason for employment authorization still waiting a couple extra months. It's okay. Do we have an estimated time for work permit or green card approval? Look, perms right now, green card based on perms, I'm probably in the, I would say 9 to 12 months to adjudicate I-45s on average for a perm-based
perm?
green card. I think that's kind of what I'm seeing right now, or for an interview. I have a petty theft adjudication withheld. That's good, but a withholding of adjudication is still considered an admission of guilt for immigration purposes. The good news is there you have a petty theft. You might want to discuss this with me. So reach out to me and please provide me with a copy of that. My concern there, Monique, is if they ask the question on the I-45, and I'm assuming we told the truth, if you've been arrested previously, and it was important for us to do that. If not, then it's important for us to amend it and have that conversation. Nothing to be concerned about, because the good news is that there is a petty theft exemption in particular. So I think you'll be totally fine with that. But going with this theme of adjustment of status, positive factors, negative factors, this is still considered a negative factors. And I would say you may find yourself in a situation that this generates an interview for you.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then at that interview, I suggest we prepare well for it and provide a good amount of things of positive factors. For example, I work, I pay my taxes. I'm a community volunteer. I give donations to charity. I'm an active member of a religious organization. Here's a letter from my religious official, stating my participation. I indicate that there is absolutely no other further criminal record. And I also indicate the fact that it's 2026, 11 years later, and you've been fully rehabilitated because of the fact that you've never committed another crime. So there's a lot there to unpack, but please reach out to me. Thank you for mentioning it, because we need to take a look at it. Definitely.
Police clearance.
No, always police
country,
clearance.
right?
Yeah. Police clearance. And not just that, if you're in Florida, I would even go like FDLE, statewide. Make sure that police clearance letter from FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, that you could get it through their website, indicates both of your last names. Anyways, we'll discuss all this type of information. Reach out to me.
I'm going to do quick information, and then I'll do the question. Natik Gill, real request. When are you doing an episode for us newbies, the kind where you explain everything when we're 5 years old? This is your forum. Whatever you want to ask, we can explain it like you are a 5-year-old. We can absolutely do it. So if you have a question of just like, hey, run me through the basics of O1s, of E2s, of L1s, that is exactly what we're here for. So go ahead and ask. We are there for. You can also look at our YouTube channel that has photos of back when Gil did not have a white beard. Alexis had hair. I looked the same.
I don't have a white beard. I have a gray beard.
I've always been bald.
I looked the same. But you can look at our YouTube for a huge catalog of literally everything you want. But again, this is your forum to ask any questions. Ney, por favor, coloquen la opción para escucharlos en español. Ney, los jueves al 12 del mediodía, hora de Miami, nosotros contestamos todas las preguntas en español. Así que esté atento para eso.
No, what she's saying though, what she's saying is that we need to turn the feature on, have media team turn on the feature that they translated in the person's language. I don't know.
Might be on YouTube.
I watch a lot of videos from other languages.
And they come out in
that's
English.
not Spanish or English, and they come out in English. Yeah.
I
I watched this boating show in Italy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay. Parlo in italiano. Hold on, there was an Italian one.
I do want to add.
Raga, dobbiamo dirlo, Stefani oggi è splendida.
Salvatore.
Grazie Salvatore.
I know how to say grazie too.
Grazie mille, buona giornata.
Grazie, mi amore.
That means
Salvatore.
Dude, you in Italy, it would be a hilarious Spanglish.
Hey, when you're
all right, can I go to the question, please? Thank you.
Right.
Hi, Erica. Can you explain matter of Del Carmen Laura and whether it affects my husband's trip to Colombia on parole? His trip is only 12 days away and we're really worried for our situation. Erica, this is what's going on with matter of Del Carmen, which is basically a BIA decision that came out, I believe, last week. And essentially what it said was, when you're subject to the 3-10-year bar because you have accrued unlawful presence in the United States, as Alexis had said earlier, if you accrue more than 180 days unlawful or illegal and you leave the United States, you are barred from returning for 3 years. And if you accrue more than a year unlawfully and you leave the United States, you're barred from returning for 10 years. That is a 3-10-year bar. Historically, travel on an advanced parole was not considered a departure, so you would not be subject to those 3-10-year bars if you had accrued unlawful presence in the past. Now the BIA is overturning 14 years worth of precedent, okay? And they're basically saying now, if you depart with an advanced parole and in the past you have had unlawful presence, then you could be subject to the bar and basically we don't have to have you return. So if you have ever had unlawful presence in the United States, ever, I do not want you using an advanced parole. Absolutely.
How about less than 180 days?
I don't care if it's 2 days. I do not want you.
How about if it's half a day?
No.
How does this affect TPS and DACA travel to then adjust after?
DACA is not looking good. It's not looking good.
Yeah.
Mind you, it is unlawful presence. It's unlawful presence, correct. So as long as you had presence through a validly filed asylum petition, you're fine. DACA should definitely not be AP traveling. Absolutely not.
I think they're no
If you had
longer gonna grant them
TPS
that
because you had
entrance,
B2 and then you had asylum and then you had TPS, you technically never accrued unlawful presence. I'm fine with it.
I mean, we had
Well,
no
the
op- we-
entry. The
This
issue
is the
is
reality.
entry.
When we were telling people to do that, that was prior to this case,
Right,
Anyways,
exactly.
and
Right.
so it's like this case didn't
Changed
even
the
apply to
game.
us. You know?
It's changed
Right.
the game.
Right.
All right, what do we got here? Avi,
And Eric, I know your situation, so I'm saying do not travel.
don't travel. Avi, what are the green card options for an E2 visa holder? Well, it depends. What do you do? What's your skill set? Doesn't even have to be tied to your E2, honestly. Sometimes we like to go the EB1 route. We like to go the EB2 route. We like to go the EB3 route. Avi?
Sometimes I like to do the poke.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I do the hokey.
sometimes you do the hokey.
I think, Avi, the best way is write to us. Let's have a consultation. Let's hash it out. Sometimes maybe it's something your spouse does, right? That gets. I love talking to couples because sometimes everyone's gun ho. I want the EB2 and
That
IW.
happens. That's true.
You talk to the spouse and you're like,
Dude, how many
oh, that's
wives?
such a great.
How many
case.
wives'
the time.
cases are so much better than the husbands?
All
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, and they're calling me for Jose's case, and then I'm there, Jose, and they're like, "Oh yeah, she won 3 bronze medals in the whatever games,
Yeah.
and like Pan American Games."
Pan-American.
Get
And
this
I'm
girl
like-
on the screen.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what are we talking to you for? Like,
I go,
it's
Jose,
like let's
please.
get her, you know?
Can
So-
you let your wife speak?
And-
Yeah, I know. Avi,
so yeah.
click.
Literally happens all the time.
Mainly,
Contact.
I'm gonna say mainly perm and EB2 and IW.
I think those are the
Sometimes
safest.
EB1.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes you get married to an American. Sometimes you don't.
Love is love.
Sometimes you find
Jasper, Gil, honest question. What happens to a professional who wins a talent visa but never seriously invests in English or in understanding the American job market? I could tell you, I still have a ton of clients that speak zero English, and they do spectacularly well on talent visas because they're artists and they're entertainers or they're people that, I think where it starts to get a little bit problematic is more of an O&A. I'm an engineer and an entrepreneur. I think that group of individuals should probably polish even up. Not fantastic English is going to be much better than no English for this group of people. English has never been a thing for talent. I could tell you, I represent a ton of clients that do not speak English or Spanish. They email me and they translate the emails, and it could be Portuguese, it could be Chinese, it could be, and I'm doing a violinist, a Chinese violinist that is spectacular. They're in Chinese and Google translates it for me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's a language they need
is
is music, right?
It's music,
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and then
that
what's
was cheesy.
what's the language? And what's the language that? Hold on.
Of music.
So, and what's the language that Stephanie needs? Of love.
Language of love.
Amore?
I don't.
Okay, so
the
yeah,
one I'm
I don't think it's
missing.
that bad. Why don't you hit up Jasper's other? Now he likes to get
Stephanie,
questions
this is
for
for
each
you.
of us.
I didn't even prepare. Stephanie, this is for you. What is the mistake that keeps you up at night because you see clients make it over and over? By the time they call you, it's already too late. The mistake that keeps me. Okay. You know what we've been seeing lately, and now because of this, we're offering this service. So here's a plug so you guys can offer this service. We spend all this time preparing a beautiful non-immigrant visa petition. We win the O1, we win the H1B, we win the P1, whatever it may be. And then individuals go and apply for their consular appointment, and either they fill out the information completely different to what we had already told immigration. We applied as a musician, and suddenly on their DS-160, what they're filling out with the consulate, they're saying about how they're a bartender. They go to the appointment and they say things like, oh yeah, I only do music. Like I did music like 10 years ago. I don't really do it much now, when I applied as an O1 as a musician. So what has really been stressing us out lately, and this is why we began to offer the service of helping with the consular appointment, is because you don't want to do this whole entire petition and spend this time and this money and this effort and winning your petition for then you to arrive at the consular appointment. And because you just filled out the form wrong or you said the wrong thing, the consular officer says, I recognize that USCIS approved this, but I'm not giving you this visa and I'm denying this visa. So we have been seeing that often lately. And I really think it's because the consular officers have been sort of more aggressive. And so the consular part is becoming every day more and more important. And that's what's stressing, I would say, all of us out the most at this time.
Those grays are going to come in pretty soon if you keep stressing like that.
Oh God, I'm looking at that.
I think
Clean.
what mainly keeps you up at night is thinking about the photographer's bodybuilder pictures.
I do, Jonathan.
I think that's maybe that's what keeps you up at night.
Yeah, Jonathan.
Man.
You know what? I work on that case from home often.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She's all nighter.
Jonathan actually asked another question. Super similar. After the petition of an O1 visa, either via primary processing or not, how important is the interview after this at the embassy? So important. Please ask us. We help with the consular option. We can certainly assist. It's really, really important that you make sure you match up everything you said in your petition with your consular appointment.
You know, also another thing is that people are not paying. Like, can you please save any DS-160 you've ever filled out in your life?
Oh my gosh.
Like, please save any DS-160 you've ever filled out in your life, or at least in the last 10 years, because more cases have problems. By the way,
nowadays
with USCIS, I-45s, work visas, because you mentioned in a DS-160 that you were working as an engineer, and now I'm doing a case for you as a musician because you do both, because you're a sound engineer and you're a musician, for example. But on your DS-160, you put engineer for some reason, not sound engineer. So this is a thing, okay, that they're actually looking at. I would tell you, make sure you save copies, because the first thing that we're going to ask you when we're trying to help you do this consular process is, what'd you say in the past?
What'd you put?
And remember the EB-290W that we got denied because it didn't match up his work history with what he had reported.
Can you believe that?
Uh-huh.
Can you believe that? And by the way, we provided on the I-140
the EB-290W
the
ETA
real
7089.
That was the real work history. The I-140 was the real work history. But what he put in the console is probably some BS he came up with just to get a visa. Okay.
Exactly.
And then at the end of the day, they denied it. Why? Not because he was doing anything bad on the I-140, because he committed immigration fraud, probably to obtain that visa at the consulate.
Or, hey, I resided in XYZ, filed an F1. They ask you, hey, show us proof of where you're going to live.
Yep.
And your ties, and you show a different property altogether.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the inconsistencies. And I know it's really simple. I guess we were taking it for granted that it was simple. Like,
it was just they weren't looking at it as much before.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
They're looking very carefully.
The
right now.
consular portion is far more significant now.
Yeah. Everything's integrated, guys, you know. And I think that's our cue.
No, we have so many. We have like four more questions. Let's go through them.
Let's go through them fast. I'll start with this one. Is this?
Alexis has never done anything fast.
Here we go.
With immigration.
Andrea.
Yes, quickly. It's Andres. We got it's lightning round. Give him the lightning round sound.
Do you think every
whoa.
Lightning
round, go. We gotta hit him.
Do you think every birth during the B1, B2 will have visa revoked retroactively? Yes, I do. Be careful with that, no matter what, unless you document that you came in, paid for everything.
But I think even if you paid for everything, you're
still
going to have a problem, guys.
In the future,
I think it is. Like, I think people that are look, if you have a great medical reason to have a baby in the US because there's like a medical thing, you know what I'm saying?
And you're
like
entering already with that. Like, that's part of the fact.
Oh, no. I think you're fine. I think that you're fine, but that's rare.
Right.
That's probably like 0.5% of the cases. Sure. The majority of people are like, oh, I'm just going to go as a tourist. I'm going to have the baby in the US.
Yeah, you can't hide it anymore.
No.
And that new executive order is targeting birth tourism.
Yep.
I'm telling you,
you
got to be really careful, because not only revoked, I mean, any possibility of visas or green cards in the future.
100%.
Like it's something they're trying to dissuade people as much as they can. ¿Qué te pasa? ¿Tú estás apurado o algo? ¿Qué te pasa a ti? Yo no estoy apurado, chico. I'm having a good time here.
I was having fun.
I'm having fun. This is what I do. I love my profession. So check it out. I would say that yes, it will definitely be an issue, and it will be an issue. And I'm really concerned with what's going to happen. I mean, again, we haven't been hit with the immigrant visa public charge. That's a public charge. Like they're gonna clump that into and I don't care that you paid for it yourself.
Yep.
They're gonna clump it in, because that's a future person that will benefit from the United States. Potentially from government resources. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I think they're gonna hit us with that.
You got to be prepared.
And here's the thing, to get a little nerdy on you guys. the Supreme Court denied that there's an issue with birthright citizenship. Basically, if you're born in the United States, you get U.S. citizenship. But it was a 5-4 decision because, ¿cómo se llama? Kavanaugh basically was like concurring, agree, but only because if you want to do it, this is the way you should do it. This is what you should target. And he basically said target birth. He gave him an outline. And now, after that, Trump drops the executive order on birth tourism explicitly, which isn't what Kavanaugh said, right? But it's just like, it's going there.
Do you know the people love it when you talk to them nerdy?
People are talking about your raspy voice and how
actually
much
not
they like
sick.
it.
It's just late night karaoke.
So Alexis constantly says he's not sick, but he's sick.
He's all the time sick.
Because this is what happens when you have little kids. When you have little kids, you get sick.
Man.
I used to be sick nonstop with little kids. Little kids are like literally like walking boogers, okay? Yeah. And it's like they are gonna get them all on you, and you're gonna have a problem, okay? So let's go to Danny from Madrid. Hi, the best droppy lawyers in the galaxy. Thank you. Actually, that is true. Working in tech for 20 plus years. Strategy defined 01 NIW, waiting for a quote from the accounting team. Unless Dr. Massa is willing to K1 on my case.
Here's the thing, Danny. K1 requires that we've seen each other in person in the last 2 years.
And consummation with pictures.
There's a photographer out there. I'm not doing that for free.
Hey, you're like, I get paid for my time. Oh gosh, so much fun. Is that it? Do we have anything?
That is pretty much it.
Anything else? Okay.
Keep doing service requests. Yes. Do them every 60 days. 100%. Yes.
By the way, after third one, I think you already got to start working on the ombudsman and maybe your congressperson, if that's a thing.
Yep.
That's the cue. See you.
Till next week on the English show on Tuesdays at 4 Miami time and Spanish on 12 at, go ahead, sorry.
We will see you on Spanish on Thursday. Talking about public charge.
Questions.
A lot of public charge.
It's nonstop.